Good morning, students. Today we are going to do next part of chapter number 3, Economics, Money and Credit. Formal and informal credit, who gets what? In the last class, we have done about what is a formal sector and what is informal sector and the difference between both of them. Now in this part, we are going to do who takes loan from the formal sector and who gets credit from the informal sector. In the earlier part of the chapter, I have shown you a graph where you have shown that in the village, if you see here also in this graph, you will see that who takes loan from which sector. This is the graph, children. First we'll do the graph. Graph 2, this shows all the loans taken by urban households. What percentage was formal and what percentage was informal? This blue color is showing your percent of loans from the informal sector and purple color is percent of loans from the formal sector. Poor households in the urban regions, that is even in the cities also, you will see that most of the poor people, they take loan from the informal sector and only 15% of the poor households take loan from the formal sector. That means more poor people take loan from the informal sector. Informal, what is informal sector? When they take the loans from the money lenders, friends, relatives, landlords, traders, that is informal sector. So 85% of the poor people taking loans from the informal sector because they don't have any documents or any collateral. Coming to the next one, second figure, children, households with the few assets. You can see a little bit not very poor, but below these still poor people. We have 53% of the people who are taking loans from the informal sector, 47% of the people taking loan from the formal sector. Then we come to the well-off households, maybe middle income or upper middle income group of the people. Here you will see that 72% of the people take loan from the formal sector. Now they are the people who have wealth, who have some assets, who have some collateral. So many of them, 72% of them, they take loan from the banks, cooperatives which come under the formal sector. 28% only take loan from the informal sector. Coming to the last category, the rich households, the rich people, they have so much of wealth. Still, they take loan mostly from the formal sector because they have proper collateral, they have proper documents. So, they take loan from the banks and cooperatives. But only a 10% of these people take loan from the informal sector. So, in this picture, in this graph, you have seen that most of the poor households, they take loan from the informal sector and most of the rich people, they take loan from the formal sector. The reasons I have given you, because poor people does not have the collateral, they do not have any documentation, and for them it is easy whenever they want. It is easy for them to take loan from the money lenders, traders, friends, relatives. Even if they have not repaid the old loan, they can take the new loan. But in comparison to this, the rich households, they take the loan from the formal sector because they have proper collateral, they have proper documentation with them. And the rate of interest is also low, and they know all these, that is the documentation, etc. So they take loan from the formal sector. This is the explanation of this graph which we have done just now. This shows the importance of formal and informal credit of the people in urban areas. People are divided into four groups from poor to rich as shown in the figure. You can see that 85% of the loans taken by poor in the urban areas from informal. Compared to this, the rich urban households, what do we find? Only 10% of their loans are from the informal, while 90% of the rich people take loans from the formal sources. So that is the explanation of this graph, children. We all know that most loans from the informal lenders like money lenders, traders, etc., when we are taking loans, they charge a very high interest rate and do little to increase the income of the borrower. Thus, it is very necessary that the banks and cooperatives increase their lending, particularly in the rural areas and to the poor people, so that the dependency on informal sources of credit reduces. Whether it is in the rural areas or in the urban areas, the banks and cooperatives should give their hand to give more loans to the poor people so that the poor people can come out of the poverty, because banks and cooperatives charge a very low interest rate. Secondly, while formal sector loans need to expand, it is also necessary that everyone receives these loans. So banks and cooperatives should see that everybody is getting the benefit of their loans. At what we see in the graph is, at present, it is the richer households who receive formal credit from the banks and the cooperatives, but poor are still dependent upon the informal sources. So it is important that the formal credit is distributed more equally so that the poor can get the benefit from the cheaper loans. Children, let us do the questions which are given here just below this part quickly, which will make you understand this concept more. What are the difference between the formal and informal sources of credit? Formal sources of credit, they give loan. Formal sources of credit include banks and the cooperatives. Informal sources of credit include money lenders, traders, friends, relatives, etc. Formal sources of credit, where the interest rate is low in comparison to the informal sources of credit. In informal sources of credit, rate of interest is very high and it varies from a person to person who is lending the loan. Formal source of credit, proper documentation is done. Informal sources of credit, there is no proper documents done. Formal sources of credit, there is supervision done by the RBI. Informal sources of credit, there is no supervision. Formal sources of credit, collateral is must. Informal sources of credit, there is no collateral demanded by the lender. Formal sources of credit, generally the person doesn't fall into the debt trap. Informal sources of credit, there are many chances the person falls into the debt trap. These are the points. These are the points. You can explain them and write the differences. Why should credit at reasonable rates be available for all? Just now we have done, children, in the earlier part. In the same page, you can see the answer, that why is credit at reasonable rate? That means at a low rate is available for all. It should be available for all so that all the people can get the benefit of these loans which are lended by the banks and cooperatives at the low rate of interest. The bank should lend the loan to these poor people so that the poor people can come out of the poverty. The bank should give to the loans to all the available for all the people so that all the people can fulfill their needs, all the people can buy the necessary inputs for their, and all the people can become self-dependent. That is the answer, children, which you can expand and write further. You can find out the points from this part which we have done just now. Should there be a supervisor, such as a Reserve Bank of India, that looks into the loan activities of informal lenders? Question number 3 is, yes, there should be a supervisor even for the informal sector. Why would it stars be difficult? It is very difficult For a supervise the informal sector, it's very difficult because there are n number of, there are so many millions of friends, millions of money lenders, millions of traders, then the landlords, and then relatives. It is very difficult to keep an eye upon them and keep a record of them. That is the answer. Fourth question, why do you think that the share of formal sector credit is higher for the richer households compared to the poorer households? That means the rich household people take loan from the formal sector than the poorer household. It is because the rich household people have proper documents, they are literate people, they know how to make these or how to write these documents, they can understand the documents easily and submit, and then they have the most important thing, they have the proper collateral. But we compare with the poorer households, they do not have any documents proper, they do not know how to fill these documents, they do not have any collateral, so they are and even they are dependent more on informal sector, because even if they are not able to repay the old loan, the money lenders, traders, they are ready to give the new loan to these people. That is why the poorer households are ready to take the loans from the informal sector, not from the formal sector. That's the answer, children. You can further read the part and give the answer. We come to the next part, that is self-help groups for the poor. This is the last part of the chapter. Now, what do you mean by self-help groups? Self-help, the name itself tells that helping ourselves, that is self-help. First, I'll make you understand what is this, then I'll just read it out. Self-help group is a small group generally made in the villages by the poor people. Say there are 20 poor women in the villages who are the landless workers and do the work for the daily wages. These 20 people, these 20 women, they can save the money, maybe 20 rupees, 50 rupees, 100 rupees, whatever money they save, they pool up the money. Pool means they collect that money. After collecting that money, suppose these 20 people, 100 rupees each they collect, and that becomes 2000 rupees. Out of this 2000 rupees, these members, one of them, they can get the loan from this. Say a person, a woman, out of these 20 members only, one member woman who is very poor and her heart has been completely broken down due to some reason. She wants to build her house. For that, she needs rupees 500 as a loan. So she can take a loan from that self-help group, and very low interest rate is charged from her. So that is how a self-help groups. It is almost similar like a cooperative society. But in cooperative society, there are near about 1000 to 2000 members. But in this self-help group, it is a very small group of very poor people, maybe made up of 20 or 30 people only. And here the decisions are taken by the whole, all the members. It's not that there is any single person who is taking the decision. Once this self-help groups works efficiently, say 2-3 years it is working efficiently and it has been recognized in the village, and these women not only give the loans, they sit and discuss the problems of the women in the villages often, and they try to solve the problems of the women. So that is how they are properly recognized. Once they get recognition, even the banks are ready to give the loans to these groups, because banks know that the women who are taking the loan, it is a group. Even if one woman who is not able to repay the loan, then all other members will pool up the money again and will repay the loan to the bank. And the banks see that the women are in India generally are very good, and they are able to repay the loan. So that is the reason that why banks are giving loans to these self-help groups. But initially the self-help groups, they have to work. After 2-3 years, once they get recognized that they are working efficiently, then only the banks are willing to give them the loans. So let's do this part very quickly. I'll read out. In the previous section, we have seen that poor households are still dependent on informal sources of credit. Why is it so? We have seen that poor people are still dependent on the informal sources. Why is it? Because banks are not present everywhere in the rural India. Even when they are present, getting a loan from bank is much difficult for the poor people as the banks do not have the collateral. We saw for Mega, bank loans require proper documents and collateral. We have seen in terms of credit, Mega has taken a loan for which banks have demanded some documents and collateral. Absence of this collateral is one of the major reasons which prevents the poor from getting the bank loans. Children, this is a very, very important 1 mark question. Absence of collateral. Due to lack of collateral, poor people are not able to take the loan. So this is the most important reason that why poor people are not able to take the loans from the formal sector or from the banks. Informal lenders such as money lenders, etc., they know the borrowers very well because they are living in the same village. They know each of them very well and are often willing to give loans without the collateral also. So the borrowers can, if necessary, approach the money lender even without repaying the old loan. We have seen in the chapter examples that even if a person is taking a loan from informal sector like Lakshmi, she is a poor farmer. She has taken a loan from Tejpal Singh. Even if she is not able to repay the old loan, Tejpal Singh is ready to give her the new loan because they know them personally. That is what happens in the villages. Because the money lenders, they are not in a loss by giving the second loan because money lenders charge a very high interest rate and they keep no records also of transactions, and rather they harass the poor borrowers if the borrowers are not able to repay the loan. But in recent years, people have tried out some new ways of providing loans to the poor. The idea is to organize rural poor, in particularly women, into small self-help groups and pool their savings, which I have told you. These poor people, they pool up the money, whatever savings they have, that money they collect with uh, in the group. Maybe there are just 15 to 20 members only in the group children. So, a typically self-help group has 15 to 20 members, usually belonging to one neighborhood. Generally, they belong to the one neighboring area only, maybe in one village only. The savings may vary from 25 to rupees 100 or more depending on the ability of the people. Members take small loans from the group itself to meet their needs. The group charges interest on these loans, but it is very less than what the money lenders charges. After a year or two, if the group is regular in savings, it becomes eligible for taking a loan from the bank. Loan is sanctioned in the name of the group. So loan is not given to a particular person because poor people do not have the collateral, but self-help group is a complete group. So banks are willing to give a loan to the group, not to individual, and it becomes eligible for the loan. Loan is sanctioned in the name of the group and is meant to create self-employment opportunities for the members. For instance, small loans are provided to the members. So for what purposes the loans are given by the self-help group? Self-help groups is given for the members, mainly for the members. They sanction the loans so that the members can buy the inputs for their fields or mortgage. They can release mortgage land, means the land which they have गिरवी, जिसको आप हिंदी में कहते हो गिरवी रखना. So the land which they have kept with the landowners for some time, so that they can get it back by giving them the loan back for meeting the working capital, that is to buy the seeds, inputs, fertilizers, etc. These members take the loans for all these things, maybe for household materials, maybe for buying the cloth, bamboos, etc. They take the loans, even for buying the sewing machine, handlooms, cattle, etc. These poor people can buy, these poor women can take the loans. Most of the important decisions regarding the saving loans or activities are taken by the group members. Children, it is a 1 mark, very important question for the board exam, that who takes the decisions In the self-help groups, regarding the saving or loan activities, it is taken by group members. It is not taken by any leader or any head. It is taken by all the group members. That is the answer, and it's a very important 1 mark question. So the group decides as regards the loans, how much loan has have to be given, to whom it has to be given. All this is decided by the members only, children, not by any single. And you can see the picture here, self-help group picture also is here. So the purpose, the amount, interest rate. Wait, just let me hold this. Also, it is the group which is responsible for the repayment of the loan. Any case of non-repayment of loan by any one member is followed up seriously by other members. If a person is not able to repay the loan, the whole group will pull up the money again and pay the loan to the bank. And the banks are willing to lend to the poor women when organized in self-help groups. So banks will not give it to any one single poor woman, but in a self-help group, they are ready to give the loan even though they have no collateral as such, because they have a faith on the self-help group. Thus, the self-help groups borrowers overcome the problem of the lack of collateral. So, what is the most important thing they overcome? If you are a member of self-help group, you are able to overcome the problem of collateral. You don't need any collateral to take a loan from the self-help group. They can take timely loans for variety of purposes. Self-help groups are building blocks of organization of the rural poor. Not only they help the women, these are the why. So, self-help groups, they help borrowers to overcome the problem of lack of collateral, which is a very important point again, children. Because of the self-help groups, the poor people are able to come out of the problem of this collateral. They don't need any collateral. So they can get timely loans also for the variety purposes, and also at a reasonable interest rate. So these are the reasons that why the poor people are taking loans from the self-help groups. What is the need of the self-help groups? Not only this, the answer is continuing. Self-help groups are also called as building blocks of organization of the rural poor. That means they not only help the women to become financially self-reliant, these are children objectives of self-help group. Objectives of self-help group, or how self-help group help the women in the rural areas. So they make the women financially self-reliant. The regular meetings of the group provide a platform to discuss and act on a variety of social issues. These women often meet and they discuss about the social issues of the village, the problems which the women are facing mainly in the villages, especially regarding health, nutrition, domestic violence, etc. So this is how the women in the rural India are able to get benefit of these self-help groups. Children, one question on self-help group will definitely be there in the board examination. So you have to learn what are the self-help groups, what are the objectives of self-help groups, how they make the women independent or strong in the rural areas. There is one small example given, a case study from the Grameen Bank of Bangladesh, that is how a village bank works in Bangladesh. Grameen Bank of Bangladesh is one of the biggest success stories in reaching the poor to meet their credit needs at reasonable rate. Started in 1970 as a small project, Grameen Bank in 2018 has over 9 million members and 81,600 villages spread across Bangladesh. Almost all the borrowers are women and belong to poorest sections of the society. These borrowers have proved that not only are poor women reliable borrowers, this is a very interesting line, children. These banks find the women as reliable borrowers. That means they have faith on the women that the women will repay the loans back, but that they can also start a variety of small income generating activities successfully. So, in Bangladesh, this village bank is working so efficiently, and in many villages and many poor women, poor people are able to get the benefit by taking the loan from this. And there are two lines by the Muhammad Yunus, the founder of the Grameen Bank. If credit can be made available to the poor people on terms and conditions that are appropriate and reasonable, these millions of small people with their millions of small pursuits can add up to create the biggest development wonder. And it's a very good line, children, that if the credit is made available at a cheaper price to all the poor people in our country, then these poor people can become self-reliant and they will add to our development of the country. So that will lead to the more development of our country, children. And here is the summary, children. Go through the summary, and in the online class we'll discuss next of the question answers. And I think and I hope that you have followed the whole chapter, children. Go through the chapter, try to do these questions on your own. Read the question thoroughly, try to do them, then only we will discuss them. That's all, children. And the chapter gets over. So, revise thoroughly. Go through all my videos once again or twice again to understand the concepts more, and then try to do these questions on your own. That's all, children. Have a good day.